Hello and good day. Let's get into You're as Cold as Ice by Foreigner. And we have the Ice Age breaking open for you right now. And all the things, those hits that you like, okay? You're all singing about right now or the future or whatever, like in certain different ways, all right? And since we're all connected to the light and these different things within our world, we are putting off frequencies, literally and figuratively. Let me pull up the song for you. We got the computer here. The computer for the composers of the Renaissance age. All right, I did a little post talking about how the Renaissance age was probably the last computer age and such, and the people who wrote the Bible and the things we see today or whatever were probably like projecting into the future and writing some stuff about how things are going to play out and those types of things. So this is kind of where we can see where man takes baby steps, and these baby steps happen basically in 24 year increments and such, and there's been a hiding of technology in a way, and as there's been a hiding of technology, it's all ready to be put onto the market, and they're doing baby steps to do this, but there's just going to be like a global switch, and we've already seen the global switch happen with the abomination of desolation with the Elon Musk and the Trump and the eclipse alignment and all these things going on through the men. And so the Foreigner, Cold as Ice, these things are wrapping into a focal point where all of this is going to and coming from, that Big Bang Theory. And we have the beastmen being made upon you, where they can't think outside this certain box and such. It's like a chimpanzee. They can only go so far. They only have a learning capability of a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, depending what kind of primate you're talking about. Humans, if we go back to what they tell us about how the personality and such is developed, we have a 7-year, 8-year or such learning ability. So, and that's where you see the 8, the 3, the 5 for the primate and the king spirit and all these things being birthed as there's different levels of men, because we're all born men, but we don't all do the same things. We all haven't learned the same things. We all don't do this, that, and the other, okay? So, while we are equal, we are not equal. And we've all spent different times doing different things or whatever, and Jesus, have you not read? Okay, so y'all aren't reading enough, and this is coming down to where God's people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, and these things are coming out for different reasons, and this so-called over here is being represented as God's people, but it's not God's people, and God's people is divided between a lampstand of 7 candles, and the one the church is under, where they're being taken back into Eden, is the one underneath Amen, and they're underneath their pastor. Oh, we have to do what he says. If you don't like what he says, you got to wear dresses if you're a woman, or you can't speak, or can't get up there and do whatever you want to do as that son of God, that light of God and such. Well, you got to go to another church and find a cult that agrees with your mentality and such. So we're in the dark ages, and believing in hell that you go to is actually a dark age mentality. And the Bible is actually an Eastern mystical book, and this is where America is that centerpiece for that world stage. And where if you want to take part of that world stage or not take part of that world stage, depends on these coming times and such, as the eyes and ears are gathering, and you realize this is just where everybody knows their scripts and lines, and it's been shown for decades, and it's like, I'm gonna maybe fucking leave while this show takes place and watch it from somewhere else, and then maybe come back afterwards or something. Or maybe they'll set up a little some seats you can go to, and a refuge, in a matter of speaking, and go and watch the show while you're in America, so you can participate safely in a way. So Foreigner, cold as ice. We all like that iced tea, and the T is the THE for Trump P, and different things depending which language you're going down. But that T for that long range driver, that Elon range driver, and that Deschambeau, the Deck Hambo, and that beautiful Bill, are all aligning up in the pill for the flip-flops and such as these things go on. You got the Bill, the B, the P, and the D, and all these things go from uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, all those little things, okay? So, and then flip-flop together, whatever for the capital B, and the B for the high for the queen, and all those things. So these are things that I'm putting together in the mind and paper sometimes to bring these things together so I can keep track of this little game and such. And this is the matrix. It's kind of like all built into what I've been putting together the past 5 years and such, since the 2020 vision and dreams and such came, and been having to figure out what was done. But the cold as ice, the ice age, the DHS, the 488, the 48, the 88, the 88 is Trump, the 48 is Israel coming up for the 1948 to the 48th presidency, and the 48 for Elvis on the second day, and Zealot's going to be in 48 in 2026, and these types of things for the second day of the firmament for the 48 hours, and those types of things. So either way, folks, Foreigner, let's get into some music and jam for that toasty session. And the bread, different brands of bread will tell us a little story. Each of your sections in the grocery store gives you different clues to the matrix. Just a little key. Let's turn it up. You're as cold as ice. That is cold. And the first hell we're told about is associated with Scandinavia and being cold and such. Okay? And a little side story, there got a point in time after about 8 years of being a vegan where I got out of the shower and said, I just had to have a towel or a thick ass robe ready for me to wrap around me or whatever, right? Anyways, I fixed myself through that from not being a vegan anymore, because that's meant just for like a cleansing process. There's like no, that's where you're like going into somewhere and coming out of it. There's no culture that just is strictly vegan lifelong or whatever. Like the vegan, whatever they teach us or whatever, it's like they use it for a cleansing process or whatever. And there's different elements to this, but everything is God's light. So you just don't want to just go around killing shit or whatever, basically. But if you're going to kill and then eat it or kill it and use it or whatever, that's fine. But just don't just go like whatever. All right. But that tree has just as much God in it, or that rock, just as much God in it. It's all light as that deer, as that roach, as that mouse or whatever that's in that field. And then so-called veganism and all this whatever kills way more animals than your so-called just eating meat, okay? Because you got to kill a lot more grass. It's like, where do you draw the line where life begins or whatever? Like, this is like, Well, light begins here. Let's kill a baby, but protect a grasshopper. And all this stupid shit going on. Like, and then the abortion, once you understand the light and the sands of time and all these things where this light is flickering through us or whatever, you can understand abortion upon our world and where they're just like, it's a new light coming into man and it's being used for this, that, and the other, and it's here to come through us, and as it comes through us, we do this, that, and the other, and some make it through, some don't, whatever, and it's there to move God, man, the lampstand, into another projection. And that's where we're at. Okay, we need to understand these things so we don't fucking flip out. This is what they want you to do. The church wants you to do. Let's get into some foreigner, because we got all these foreigners, these illegal aliens that have landed on our land, our mothership. Now what are we going to do? He's setting up the firmament in different ways. And it's an ice block wall, what ice wall or whatever to gather the Admiral Byrd and whatever else.
You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Love on the backside is the evil. And that's a whole nother story we're going to get into, because the charity is tied to your love and your KJV, and then they switch to love and other additions. And this char ties to the evil and such. But, oh man, this is probably really deep for too much of you here as we're treading some water.
You never take advice. Someday you'll pay the price. I know.
The advice. The J.D. Vance. Okay? The price for the rice and the China and those types of things.
I've seen it before, it happens all the time. You're closing the door, you leave the world behind.
The door, close the door, they've taken your keys, you're going into a new heaven and earth, the gate's open. You've seen it before, looking at it in the past. All those types of things are going on. Okay? So, digging for gold, you got the Bitcoin, the mining, all those types of things. Going away, and the away is the WA for the Washington, and then someday you'll pay for the PA, the butler. Now remember, the ice melts. And he made them after the male and female. And sacrifice our love. Love is where the largest casino is in America or the world or wherever they advertise, okay? On the border of the KO, Oklahoma, on the backside, and the Texas, the TX, United States and such. So as we're coming into a focal point, we're going to understand this vision of Daniel and such that was given in 2020 and whatever, as these things have been going on, a little better. So this is just a little tidbit of the foreigner. Sorry it took a little bit time to get into it, but it's all right here. They're all singing about it. Either way, Foreigner, go back and listen to it on yourself, see if you can hear it.